IREN stock price since topping at $76.87 has pulled back to the long-term descending channel, now pressed towards the top. Should we expect stock price to regress, pulling back to $30, coming to the bottom of the channel, or is it the time for stock price to get over the top and see that breakout pressing back towards $50, $60, or even beyond? My name is Don from Don Trades. We're going to break down and analyze ticker symbol IREN. IREN stock price first going to the weekly as always to get the long-term gauge, then jumping accordingly to the daily and the hourly to get a full scope technical analysis. Straight away, we've acknowledged a very linear press up from IREN here, going all the way up, now all the way down. Practically straight green weeks, meaning continuing green action, pressing higher, then flip to the downside. When you see this much momentum each way, within the short term, it always flips towards the other side, contrary to most beginner belief. Okay, and this is setting up as of right now for potentially a red to green reversal. If you're a short seller shorting, would you rather short after stock prices move from $18 to $76, now flipping red in a tight pinch? Or would you want to short around this $40 level when the momentum has effectively doled out, seeing a lot of consolidation candles, some hip hop, but more or less indirect liquidity sitting, still being red, bearish in nature, but getting ready to flip after a massive move? The answer is simple here, and you would rather buy within this perspective than sell. Smart institutional money, or smart money in general, won't want to step in on a stock that has regressed 50%, now starting to consolidate. That's technical analysis 101. But with that being said, you have seen stock price chop down about 50% of its gains. Not the healthiest move to do this quickly, but the short-term momentum is for the bulls. So within the long-term gauge, it is hard to assess IREN as whether you see more of a rally back towards $50, $60, and then you set a next lower high within a long term, and then you march down for a descending channel, right? Or you're going to see an ultimate reversion back towards all-time high. But it is safe to say that the bottom is damn near soon, guys. We've seen a lot of respect around that $40 level. The only question is, are we going to see a little bit more aggression, perhaps breaking $40? This incredibly important support, the number one area of value. Likely in that instance, you will drop to the next level, meaning there's no support between until that next big hammer candle low directly placed at that support level. So as of right now, we're seeing a lot of compression and a tight battle between the buyers and the sellers, attempting to get the push up, right? The buyers want this push up to flip the momentum, just as we've seen a couple months ago within a green to red reversal. Notice how it didn't immediately just pull back. You actually sat here and started to dole out and then flip, right? So that's very similar to what we're seeing as of right now. If you're a bull, you're going to want to see a positive green week step into play, as this point in time with about 8 weeks to sit here and marinate battle within this level. Once effectively you start to flip the trend, there is a lot of nice explosive activity for at least a couple of weeks pressing towards at least $50. There's a lot of upside potential here, but you need to see it to believe it. I'm going to shift the daily analysis, and this does give a different perspective within a descending channel. Your support line being these lower highs with this blue highlighted descending trend line, right? And then to the contrary, this red descending trend line is a seller vantage point. You can move this around a couple different ways, guys, but it is the rough blueprint where sellers are stepping in, right? Stepping in, push back up. 1, 2, 3, 4 days later, tap the top, right back towards the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4 days later, etc., etc., etc. We've been effectively staying in this trend for quite some time. So as of right now, the question is, right, within our last analysis, we're right towards the top. We're very, have a limited shelf life right here. We could start to teeter towards the downside if you don't see the breakout of that $43 resistance. Also would be sweeping this descending trend line. Didn't see that happen, right? As of right now, we did push back from that $42 level, currently sitting at $39. So this doesn't make it that much more important. Once again, mentioned on the weekly for strong upside if the buyers do want to get short-term upside. As we're still relatively young, we've been pulling back, now losing $40, but the candle structure here does not show that we're immediately going to collapse and just get destroyed. Okay, we're seeing some hesitancy here with a hammer candle and an inverted hammer candle. Granted, the daily candle is still forming as of time of this video, but nonetheless, it will likely stay within this rough constructs. So as of right now, it's as simple as this. Will stock price go and sweep this daily high over $40, likely to get that fake attempt of, hey, we're going to move right back down towards the bottom of this descending trend line and get that, reversion, right? But nope, we're going to sweep right over the top, climbing back over that massive $40 psychological level, breaking out effectively and getting a delayed breakout. And it is very live situation as of right now. You've seen a massive bar slice right through that support, and we're sitting currently at $37 with a big bearish bar. It is safe to say in that reason, and rhyme and reason, that yes, we will pull down at 34, getting that double bottom-esque attempt before any resemblance of a recovery. But as of right now, we're not seeing that confirmation, guys. Once again, notice how the last time dropping $40, it was clear here. I mean, a massive big bar, but the buyer stepped right back up, reclaiming that support here. So could be one of those hip hop things. Once again, false break, and then false break, but this time to a lighter magnitude. And that is going to be the prediction on the channel. I do think that stock price will defend this zone at least at a bare minimum, sit here for 1 and 2 days and test towards the top of $40, giving the sellers a good run for their money at a minimum, or you will see that breakout here. Once again, this is an unorthodox area where you could be very surface level and say, oh, right, we hit the top of this descending channel, we're going to push back 10%, right? Touch the top, push back, touch the top, push back, but it's not always that simple. We have regressed, once again, 50%, touching back that $40 major support, which was a massive support level for that former bounce to 76. As of right now, there is indication we could see that false breakdown or a liquidity sweep, a liquidity run, whatever you want to call it, a level being breached, right? Then people go short, then you sweep right over the top. This is where big money gets in for that ultimate upside, snowballing stock price higher. As of right now, despite dropping from $40 and the short-term upside, short-term consolidation of their last video still appears to be pretty healthy here, actually. So although IREN does have a limited shelf life and you're not going to want to see stock price break low day at $38, effectively stock price is in a pretty healthy report here, and we could still march up with a newfound higher low to get that breakout here. So if you're bulk, keep an eye on $40, man. Keep an eye on 38. You got those flat levels you need to keep an eye on. Now look at the hourly analysis. Each one of these candlesticks representing 1 hour. We still have 2 more candles to form before the end of day action, so we won't overanalyze the candle structure. But that being said, we're seeing another resemblance of the daily analysis. Just as we have this very long-term descending channel on the daily that's been playing out since the beginning of October, on the hourly, to the contrary, we have a descending channel that is very primed. Notice how these big bars touches the top and then touches the bottom. When you have these really big wicks that touch the top and the bottom, that's just ultra confirmation, guys, respecting each support and resistance. And a very common myth within technical analysis is that the more a support or resistance is touched, the stronger it gets. No, it just means the more validated it is. Actually, the more you take a sledgehammer or something and boom, 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 it's gonna get weaker. The question is, when will it break? And that's an incredibly good question. Ultimately, you will need to see a little bit more upside, right? Not just sweeping over 40 for a minute or two to get over these big resistance markers, of course. But as of right now, there's a lot of respect between these two constraints. Staying to it so tight, this does lead you to believe that you won't see stock price sitting here forever. We have incredibly respected trend lines that are being bash, incredibly respected. The more you test a trend line, the more likely it is to break. Once again, that does bring right back towards the daily, which is why you can't just sit in this descending channel forever here. So, IREN does lead toward the bulls here. Once again, in their last updated video, we mentioned you need to see upside over that $43 level to effectively break out, and we did not see it. But stock prices rebounded very healthily since then, still under $40 at the time of recording. But the more a trend line is touched, the more validated it is, not the stronger it is. And clearly, we're seeing a ton of back tests on multiple different time frames. Just like this hourly cup and handle / bull flag, something has to give. Whether that's a reversion pressing back to 34 or that breakout squeezing to 50, getting over $40 and 43, 50-50. If you guys follow the channel, we pride our analysis off database, not emotional, none of that. It's very in the air. The overall regression does lean towards the bulls, but you have seen a lot of fear. You're currently hovering under $40. We are going to slightly lean towards that upside coming into the next few days and or weeks.
But keep in mind that this is very in the moment within this technical analysis, and you have to keep an eye on that big $38 level, $40 level, and $43.
Consider dropping a sub. Like we'll continue to track and cover IREN stock price about 1 to 2 times per week. Have a good one, guys. Take care. Trade smart and peace.